Hi, welcome to the Marketing Podcast. I'm Brendan Quigley.
I'm Heather Watson.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
We're getting close to Christmas, and I'm starting to fall in love with all the ads I'm seeing on TV. Not that I watch a lot of TV.
You like advertisements?
I do. And the Christmas ones just love to tug on the heartstrings.
It's true.
Give me the feels.
I feel like my entire generation is waging war on advertisement, so I decided to do marketing for a living.
Well, you know, it's natural.
It's all about people. People to people.
People to people.
We don't need to do this ad thing.
And I think Christmas advertising does it really well. The people
Yeah,
to people.
no, it does. It
right?
does.
It just makes you feel all that
I feel like
nostalgia.
though, maybe it's not my generation waging war. We're just more willing to pay for our content. Like, television is quote unquote free, but it was.
It was.
But you got ads served to you. That's kind of where, radio's free, but you get ads served to you. Like, that's how that works. So I think we're just like, no, we don't want that. And we're more willing to like drop the subscription on the cable, on the Netflix, on the whatever to get rid of that. Mm-hmm. Not the cable doesn't have ads.
Right.
Interesting enough.
Yeah, true enough. And it's funny we're talking about this because today's episode is really all around advertising and some cool stuff that's going on in the world of advertising.
Isn't every episode a little bit about advertising?
Well, this one is all about advertising.
All right.
And the first one is, and this one's a little complex, so I'm going to take a minute to set it up, if you don't mind. So Adweek is reporting this story that Snickers, the chocolate bar Snickers, got a whole TV channel to act weird when it was hungry as part of a media stunt. So this is a TV network called Dave, which is a fun network that has all kinds of, really engaging content that goes towards millennials, and it's like kind of very like I've never seen it, so I don't know, but I kind of get the feel when I read the piece that it's very like MTV kind of feel to it, but it's not music videos, but it's like youthful and fun and skateboarding and all that kind of stuff. And skateboarding is fun. It was so random, but it was one of the things that it was like lifestyles such as skateboarding. It says in the article, so I got to go by that.
Okay.
So they converted at a point in time the network, the television network, to Rupert, which was like this alter ego of Dave. Not alter ego, but it's like, they took a common name like Dave, the Dave Network, and then they turned it into the Rupert Network. Gave it a new logo, gave it a new brand, and it turned into basically like PBS, where it's educational, boring, dry content that was, very monotonous and not engaging. And then, and at the exact same time, like they reskinned all of the Dave Network social media accounts as this Rupert Network. So it actually looked like, Monday morning somebody woke up and now the station has been the network's been completely bought out by Rupert, and it's boring and it's not something I want to see. And then at the end of the prank, the color bars, the infamous color bars that you see on, a broken TV channel come up on the screen, and a Snickers bar comes up, and then they kind of out themselves and say, hey, we got you. You're not you when you're hungry. So it's like Dave turned into Rupert, right? Because so Dave, the fun-loving network that it is, got hungry and turned into this horrible, monotonous, boring person, Rupert network, and that kind of emulated what they want to brand Snickers as being, that kind of fun thing, and just get fun again and have a Snickers bar.
My goodness, the timing. And the orchestration across the brand.
Tons of orchestration. Yeah.
And this was a Snickers ad.
It was totally a Snickers ad. This was like total takeover by Snickers. And the final piece of the puzzle, so there's like so many pieces going on, Snickers wrote an open letter of apology in the form of an ad promising Dave's viewers that the network had stocked up on Snickers bars and wouldn't morph into Rupert again. And that's that. Right? So it's a creative campaign. It's a deep campaign. Like you say, tons of orchestration going on.
A bit of risk, too.
Sure. You got to know your audience.
Yeah.
Right? But it's getting accolades, the agency and everybody involved in it, in terms of what they did to get the eye of people, right?
I have to say, whenever I hear stories about people pulling off these big ideas, no matter what it is, I'm always impressed.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Art Attack when he would do those big drawings in the snow. Do you remember Art Attack?
Yes, I do remember Art Attack.
There you go.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And Snickers has a history of being really good about hacking. This is Adweek's term. I hate using that term in this context. And subverting media. Whether they did a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, and a couple of other campaigns involving Super Bowl or the bridge between online and out of home, which was a campaign that they ran that took online advertising and took it outside out of home advertising. We'll link to the show. We'll link to it all in on the marketingpodcast.ca in the show notes. The article from Adweek and references the other case studies. But it's a really cool media stunt, and I don't know if we hear much of media stunts. I mean, I think of my first knowledge of a media stunt was when I was but a young child watching WKRP in Cincinnati, and the station decided to throw turkeys out of a plane to celebrate Thanksgiving, and it was like the great. Have you not seen this?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
No,
I haven't at all. I'm just picturing if someone decided to throw turkeys out of a plane nowadays.
Well, but the horrific part. Okay. You all need to search this. Actually, we'll put it in the show notes. This is like legendary, the Great Turkey Drop on WKRP in Cincinnati, because, it's in radio, so a bunch of people are in the radio studio, and Les Nessman, who was like their live on-the-scene reporter, discovered horrifically that turkeys don't fly, and he's reporting on it. And so
no.
So you don't see what's actually happening.
No,
the
like
beauty
they drop
of television.
Live turkeys?
Oh yes.
It's not like here's a frozen turkey for Christmas.
No. Sorry, I missed that important piece.
Like
so Les is like, okay, and any minute now they should be starting to take off. Oh, something must be wrong. Oh no. Oh, there's turkeys falling everywhere. And it's this amazing bit.
Like someone had to throw the second turkey. You know what I mean? Someone was like, Bob, that first turkey didn't fly. Well, I don't know. We're being paid to throw them all out, so I guess throw the second one out. Like that's how that must have happened.
This was totally fictional. This was like a fictional television show.
Oh, okay.
So, but that was a media stunt, that the radio station pulled to get more listeners. And anyways, we're going to link to that one. And Brendan, we need to sit down and talk.
Well,
that's pretty legendary that you don't know that.
No idea.
No idea. Wow. I don't even know how to go from Snickers to turkeys to women bleeding blue. No?
That worked.
That worked?
Just go with it.
Just go with it. So I guess this is a topic for me to cover because this is something that's often bothered me when I watch television and I see advertising for women's hygiene products, pads and tampons. And there's a long culture around, the sisterhood sticking together saying, I don't feel like running on a beach and going horseback riding when I have my period. Much less I don't want to see blue liquid pouring onto something that's supposed to make me feel better. So there's an ad that's running in the UK. It was released by Bodyform, which is a maxi pad brand. And they're actually putting a blood-like substance on the pad. So typically they'll use the blue liquid to demonstrate how absorbent it is. And of course, I don't know about you, but women don't bleed blue. Do men bleed blue? Of course not. So, and this is actually not even like some really weird blue test tube liquid that's runny. It's a little coagulated and has, thickness to it, viscosity. So it actually looks like blood. And interestingly, the ad is creating all kinds of controversy in the UK right now. Some people are saying it's disgusting. My children have to see this. Other people are saying it's about bloody time. Pun intended. And like I say, it's a 20-second bit. We'll link to it in the notes. You decide. There's even one scene where you can see like a woman is in a shower. And the cut is kind of just at the top of her thigh, and you see like little streaks of blood running down the inside of her leg because that's normal, right? And that's truth in advertising, and that's the things that women deal with, and it's perfectly natural because we've been dealing with it for since there've been women. So it's interesting that it's creating how a brand is advertising. They're doing it the way that women finally want, and the support that it's garnering, and the hate that it's also collecting, like on both sides of it. What are your thoughts?
So all I can say to this is, growing up and seeing the ads, I had no idea as a kid what was going on. I'm like, they pour the blue stuff onto there, it soaks it up.
Women are running on a beach.
But the women are running on a beach. Like, I had no connection. There was no concept, and there was no need. Like, I was like, all right, get to the cartoon again, or it wouldn't have been cartoons, but get to the show again, right? Like, I just totally ignored it. And then there was definitely a point in my youth where I was like, oh, and the light comes on, and that's from a guy's point of view, right?
Sure.
Like, from a kid growing up. So I guess I don't really know or understand the controversy. I understand why they might have chosen blue. It would have been a clean looking color, sterile, and they can demonstrate it. And I guess why I understand why they're using red now instead. Things are kind of going that direction. Truth in advertising. We're trying to get away from things like fake news and all that kind of stuff. So I guess I don't totally understand the controversy. It's like...
So it comes around, and I mean, we don't certainly need to debate the issue of the controversy, but it comes around this kind of period taboo or shaming, right? To the point where, you know, and I can say this as a mature woman walking down the grocery store aisle or in the drugstore, if I have to pick up, a box of tampons or pads, it's kind of like, even it's almost hard for me to say, right?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I don't want anybody to know, so I'll bury it in the bottom of my cart, right?
Interesting.
And it's kind of, and for the same reason why, and I don't know, maybe you're 21st century kind of guy, and if your wife calls you up and says, hey, can you pick me up a box on the way home?
Totally picked up just pads from a drugstore before.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there is a generation that it seems kind of shameful around it, and we don't talk about these things, and they're embarrassing and all that kind of stuff. So it just says, it's like, no, it's natural, it's normal, and why aren't we doing this? The other question is, where do we go from here? And that's kind of raised in this article as well. Like, truth in advertising, to what extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to start seeing, poopy diapers on, when we're talking about our Huggies and Pampers kind of thing?
I think it comes down to what will sell, right?
Sure. And I think, babies don't have a voice.
Yeah.
Women have been voicing for a long time that these ads are not. I mean, for me, I don't care if it's blue or red. That means nothing to me. For me, it's like, show me a woman who is in track pants with, not stereotypical with the bucket of ice cream, but it's like it's just not always fun and cozy. And I'm certainly not running on a beach and jumping. Well, but the whole thing is, with our product, you can do all these things. And it's like, bullshit, right? Like, that's...
Well, but like Dove did a really good job of the beauty advertising.
Yep. To a degree.
I know that's controversial as well.
To a degree.
But the fact that I'm even saying that says that, like, the advertising got out there, the message that they wanted to, and you know what I mean? So I guess it comes back to your target audience.
Who's your audience? Who are you trying to appeal to? They're trying to appeal to women. They're trying to appeal to women who are real women, not fantasy women who are horseback riding and running on a beach and wearing white bathing suits.
I think this will do really well.
Their period. I think it'll do well too. And it just gets people talking about the brand.
Yeah.
And I mean, if anybody is like actually offended by it, it's probably not their customer anyways.
I don't know. The two comments I'd have for, like, my kids have to see this is it's likely running on program or television channels and times where your kid's unlikely to see it.
Yeah, it's not going to be on like the Cartoon
Network kind of deal. And then, I don't know, they have to learn eventually. I know it might not be comfortable to be forced into the conversation, but it's one of those things that you will have that conversation about eventually. So it helps if you can point to an example.
Yeah, and I mean, they did their research. They did their homework before jumping into this.
Mm-hmm.
Their research determined that 3/4 or 75% of consumers wanted to see more honesty portrayed in their advertising.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. It's,
Now everyone's too honest. Too honest.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's bold. It's a bold move for them. It's got people talking about it, and we'll see where it goes from there. If it's the start of a new trend. Advertising. You don't like advertising, you said.
No.
Nope. Well, ad blockers.
Successful assault on Facebook enters its second month.
Yeah.
So are we supposed to be happy about this? Like, we're always telling people to advertise on Facebook because it's a great place to advertise, and you can use things like the pixel to retarget your audience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now, believe it's AdBlock. Which ad blocker? Yeah, AdBlock Plus has figured out a way to block ads on Facebook. So
all that sponsored content.
There you go.
That we're trying to tap into.
Yeah. So last year they did this, but then Facebook engineers got around it, basically prevented them from being able to successfully and reliably block ads on the platform. And it looks like they went away for a little bit, regrouped, figured it out, and now they have like a very strong method of blocking the ads, so much so that it's lasted 2 months so far.
Right.
And so the fear here is Facebook's going to see how they're blocking it, and it's going to be this ever constant battle.
Cat and mouse game,
yeah.
Ongoingly.
Yeah.
This was reported on by Ad Age, by the way, which we'll link to in the marketingpodcast.ca. And speaking of Facebook, you can join our Facebook community at the Marketing Podcast.
There you go.
But it's interesting. I mean, Facebook's for the first several years struggled with how to monetize, and now they've created this platform that allows people to
rivals Google.
Right.
In terms of advertising, yeah.
And now people are trying to take that away from them. I think, if this were traditional, it's completely unrealistic, but, what's the non-digital version of an ad blocker, right? If I'm a magazine publisher,
yeah.
I actually remember working for a company that was also owned by a local pizza company. Like the owner owned a couple of different businesses. And the pizza company used to do this thing where, if you were phoning in for your pizza order, they'd be like, hey, turn to page 32 of the phone book, because they already had the local phone book in front of them. They knew. If you tear out page 32 of the phone book and hand it to your delivery driver, we're going to give you $2 off your order. Page 32 of the phone book was the other section of all of the pizza delivery companies
amazing.
in town, right?
Forget everybody else's number for $2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, so, in a magazine, what's an ad blocker? Somebody who wants to go around and rip out other people's ads, right? Like, I don't know what else would be similar to that to get around it. But, they will continue to play the cat and mouse game, I'm sure, because it's Facebook's platform. And I'm sure, they certainly have the resources. They will out-resource.
Oh, yeah, eventually.
The
like, it took them, a year to figure out a new method. It's going to take Facebook how long to...
Yeah, 3 weeks, 2 months.
2 months,
where we'll see how it continues on. And Facebook will figure out, okay, great, you've blocked that, but here's a new way that, are they blocking them in Messenger bots? Or no, is it just the sponsored content? And can they get into messages?
And so I think about, too, because the reports were coming out that Google was going to build an ad blocker into Google Chrome. So that's an interesting topic as well.
Yep.
And I think from my point of view, the number one reason to block ads is because ads are done so badly. They're often annoying, and they're often not relevant, and they're intrusive, and they pop up, and they autoplay, and all that stuff.
And that's a really interesting point, because I know that, it's easy, you or I, coming from a marketing world, we can say it's super easy to run a Facebook ad, but it actually is super easy to run a Facebook ad. You could be selling your car in your driveway as a homeowner and run a Facebook ad. And it's super affordable, and the barrier to entry is low. So you do get a lot of crap content, whereas it's not super easy to run a digital ad anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
What Twitter has done, which I feel is great, because I think we covered this on a previous episode, they actually they've boosted the amount of advertising revenue that they've had in recent years, like that they're starting to monetize quite well. And they have, I think they call it Fuel, which is a department within Twitter which helps people develop campaigns. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, let's teach you. Whereas with Facebook, it's always been this kind of like sorcery, trying to figure out, if I do it this way and do this, and how do I do this? And they've got their, what do they call it? Facebook Blueprint, which is kind of like a free training hub, but they don't tell people really it gets there, it's there. So Facebook's way is just boost this post, and you get a crap boosted post that I had pumpkin pie for dinner. Who cares about that? So if Facebook gets better at teaching advertisers how to effectively advertise on the platform, then people will be less likely to block them, and they'll probably see exponential growth in their revenue potentially.
Well, I have to say, at home I run something called a Raspberry Pi, and it's not food; it's a little computer. And on that little computer, I run something called Pi-hole, and we can link to that as well. It's a really cool project for Raspberry Pi that sets up a DNS ad blocker. And basically what that's doing is when you're loading the web page, if it tries to load an ad, instead of requesting the ad from the ad server, it actually just throws in like 1 pixel. So it effectively gets rid of ads. Where it doesn't get rid of ads is Facebook, because Facebook is using an SSL, so it's using HTTPS. And not that it couldn't, but it's you would have to break the encryption, and you would have to basically make your browsing experience less secure in order to make that happen, which isn't good for the user. But what I've found is by blocking, I'm looking at like 80% of the ads everywhere else on the internet, my experience has gotten a lot better. The ones on Facebook are at least tucked into the side or tucked into the news feed. They're not like popping out at me. If you've got your audio turned off on Facebook, thanks Facebook for making that default to on. But that's a totally different story. If you've got your audio turned off, it's a relatively pleasant experience.
Sure.
And so I would agree with what you were saying. If people put more effort into building their ads, we might not have to have this back and forth, and something like a Google Chrome ad blocker could be enough for the average person, because it would block sort of the malicious pop-up autoplay in your face,
obtrusive stuff.
Don't want your kids to see
anyways.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's really just being fed out through automation and the ad networks. Like
Yeah. So for now it's there. We'll see how long it stays and what Facebook's counter move is going to be. It's Facebook's move now, I guess, and it could even just be a cease and desist letter.
Your move, Facebook.
There you go.
Yeah.
Our next piece is about an ad series that I like. I love, Bose. So this is being reported on by Adweek, the audio company Bose makes fantastic sounding headphones, noise canceling headphones. It's great. They make music sound great and everybody else disappear. That should be their tagline. So they've come out with this series of television ads that is really pulling on emotion about how important music is in our lives. So it's interesting when we think about developing a commercial of any sort, like doesn't like anything with audio to it, how usually audio is considered the background, right? It's the background of the ad because it's too dead without that kind of background music. What Bose has done in this campaign is really put it in the foreground because, of course, they are about audio, so they should put it in the forward. So they've got a few. There's one with a dude listening to his headset walking down the sidewalk, and there's music, like you hear the music, like he's wearing headphones, presumably we're hearing what he's hearing, and it's got a bit of a beat to it, and he's in the neighborhood, just ticking in the neighborhood, and decides to cut loose and do some hopscotch down the sidewalk, and he's looking at the kids, and he's just being part of the community and living in the moment. There's another one of a 15-year-old, 13-year-old boy who is on his way home from school, presumably, doesn't look like the most popular kid in school, and he's just living his groove on, and that's what music does to people, right? Like it's the soundtrack of our lives, and now Bose is showing people wearing the headphones in life, and that's it. It's very simple. There's not a whole lot of copy. There's no jawing person talking away. It's just somebody in their moment, and they're kind of saying, "What's your moment?"
So the two things come to mind when I see this. The first one's what you said at the beginning, the emotion. Like it is really drawing on people's emotions and their relationship with music. And that's way deeper than any sales pitch, any sales copy, any sales, and that's why it works. And then the other thing they're doing is they're really making the brand iconic in the sense that, like, you see the swoosh, the brand.
And Bose has been around doing what they do for a very, very long time. It's interesting to me. I've always been somewhat enamored with Bose as a brand. I've never owned a Bose anything. It's like an aspirational brand for me because it's like way out of my price point to spend on the things that they typically
and they make some really high end
super
audio
high-end
too that bands will use and stuff. Like it's not just not just
consumer, but even the consumer level is very expensive. And now that's like we're making this. It's more than like it's a 13, 15-year-old kid coming down the street. And, it's like, darn, well, if he can have it, I should have it. I deserve that clarity and sound, as opposed to my ear pods, which the Bluetooth cuts in and out midway. And as I'm listening to my groove, it ruins my groove, And watching to the point now, like we all know, if we think about headphones particularly, if we think about the best quality, for me, I think about Bose. I'm sure there's other brands that are out there that are doing it, but Bose is the one that comes to mind. And now they don't have to talk about the quality of the product. Back in the day, they would talk about the quality and the technology that they use to make the product the way that it is.
Right.
Now it's like just live in the moment.
Yeah. I think the other benefit here is the lifestyle video, so showing people using the product. And I think that's something that small businesses could do, or any business for that matter, is if you've got a product that someone uses, show people someone using it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really simple.
And these are everyday people. And I love, because, silly little things that add to the comfort of my listening is, I don't want to be doing hopscotch or on the scooter like this guy is, and have them slide down my head or falling off or pinching my ear, feeling uncomfortable. And if I see a guy like doing hopscotch, even though it's like a 10-step little bit, I think, it's like they're not even there.
Yeah, right.
And it just feels good.
Yep.
So congratulations to Bose on this. The takeaway is that emotional pull, and that being able to find what it is that is about your brand and showcase that in a way that really draws your emotions and makes you want to connect with the brand even more. So, speaking of connecting, I invite you to connect with us.
Do it.
Because Brendan said so.
That was a bit of a pun.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Do it already.
I tried.
Again? Yeah. So you can find us on Facebook at The Marketing Podcast, on Twitter at MarketingPod, and themarketingpodcast.ca. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what brands are pulling on your emotions and what advertising is striking your nerve these days. And maybe we'll talk about it on the show one day. That's it. We're done. We're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't advance my screen. I think this was the last bit.
So this has been The Marketing Podcast. I'm Brendan Quigley.
And I'm Heather Watson.